going to start a new series, and we're going to look at an object lesson that God gave us in the Bible that helps us to understand that we don't have to be afraid of what's coming. He's given us an object lesson. We're going to learn about it over the course of the next few weeks that helps us to understand his whole plan of salvation. Why is that important? Because as today's sermon is entitled, Judgment Has Come. I invite you to bow your heads with me before we open up God's Word. Father in heaven, as the rain has fallen outside and replenished the earth here, may your Holy Spirit rain down upon us. Give us new life in our hearts, Father. Help us as we open up your Word to understand what it is you want to teach us today. I pray that you will speak to us, that it'll be your words and not my own. And I ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. He stands on the busy street corner. The bustling traffic of people do not even pause from their glowing rectangles of media consumption to even throw a glance his way. So he shouts something about impending doom. His goal is not money. No, he wants their attention. His disheveled hair and tattered clothes and scraggly beard paints him to be a bum, or maybe worse, crazy. People tend to think the latter. However, there seems to be some sanity with him, and there's no smell of liquor, no smell of drugs. Still, there's something about him. Maybe it's something in his eyes. The look in his eyes, they kind of look empty, like no one's home, like he's one fry short of a Happy Meal. But it also looks like he knows something that you should know. Something really important. Could also be the strange things he's wearing, not his worn-out clothes, but his signs. The two large white wooden signs that are worn like a greeting card dress. The frayed rope hung over his shoulders reveals it's not the first time he's worn these things. In handwritten large black letters is written, "The end is near." Some laugh and ridicule him. Others just stand with questioning stares, but most just walk on by. They've heard it all before. This guy has been saying the same thing for years. The same warnings. Big deal, they think. We've heard it. We know. Judgment is coming. The sky is going to fall. All the computers are going to crash. The Mayan calendar has no more pages left. We get it. We know the drill. It's the end of the world. But he's not the only one out there. There's more like him. You've probably seen someone like this. Maybe you've heard one. Because in every city there's at least one of these doom proclaimers, even if they don't wear the signs. Nameless faces with a common message. Prophecies of doom, and yet nothing happens. You see, there's an important thing that we have to remember. All the critics have to remember. We cannot forget this, that one day these doomsday messengers will be right. And I don't want to alarm you this morning, but I think you need to know that day has come. Judgment has come. Turn with me to Revelation chapter 14. Revelation chapter 14, and we'll be reading verses 6 and 7. And notice what it says here. Revelation 14, verses 6 and 7. We know the book of Revelation helps us to understand what is happening, what's going to happen in the last days. And this is a message that's going out from one of the angels. There are three angels. This is the first of them. It says here in verse 6, "Then I saw another angel flying directly overhead." With what kind of gospel? Everlasting or eternal gospel. "To proclaim to all those who dwell on the earth, to every nation and tribe and language and people." And he says with a loud voice, "Fear God and give him glory." Why? Because the hour of his judgment has come. "And worship him who made heaven, the earth, the sea, and the springs of water." This is the everlasting gospel, the first of the three angels' message, the message that's supposed to be spread to the whole world, to every nation, tribe, and people. It says, fear God and give him glory because of a specific reason. His judgment has come. It doesn't say his judgment is coming. It doesn't say his judgment came. It says his judgment has come. Present tense. This is a warning to every one of us that we are living in the time of God's judgment. Now, some people have taught for a long time that judgment is something that happens way in the future, that judgment happens after we die or something like that. But the Bible says there was a day that was specified for judgment, and in Revelation we hear the announcement, the proclamation that judgment has come. It's upon us. It's happening right now. And if the judgment is happening, shouldn't it change what we're doing? If the judgment is happening right now, shouldn't we do something about it? Shouldn't we be living differently? Maybe we should be telling people. Do you think that would be important? But I found that we don't happen to talk much about the judgment anymore. We talk about a lot of things. We focus on a lot of doctrines and good truths, but we're not talking so much about the judgment. And maybe it's because we're scared. Maybe because we ourselves are scared of what's coming. The sound of judgment is not a happy thought. If you got arrested and you were going to go before the courts and you had to go into judgment, you wouldn't be like, yay, I get to go see a judge. That wouldn't be first on your thoughts, would it? No, of course not. Then you add on to it, where does we hear about most of the judgment? It's in Revelation, and you got end time prophecies are filled with scary symbols and frightening plagues. Now you add judgment to all that. That's why it can be so scary. Many people imagine themselves in some giant celestial courtroom with an irritable God on a throne just waiting to condemn us. But I believe that if we truly understood what was happening right now, we would not be afraid. We'd actually be happy. We'd be excited about what God's doing. Sure, we'd be serious. I think we ought to be serious if it's time of judgment. And we may want to review our life's choices. And perhaps when we found out really what was happening, we'd be passionate about letting other people know, but we would not be afraid. Not if we really knew what was going on. But of course, in this day and age, with all that we have going on around us, we might have become distracted and maybe we forgot. Maybe we forgot about what the judgment means, the truth of it. Or maybe you've never heard. You never heard what's going on. Fortunately, God has given us something that can help us to understand not only the judgment, but His whole plan of salvation. Believe it or not, the judgment is part of His plan of salvation. If He's going to eradicate sin forever, there has to be a judgment against it. Isn't that true? So God has given us something that's very special, and it's been called God's most wonderful object lesson. And believe it or not, it's even one of our fundamental beliefs as a denomination. In fact, it is the only belief unique to us as Seventh-day Adventists. Now, sadly, as I've learned, as I've traveled and visited many churches, many Adventists don't know what this unique doctrine is. It's most likely due to the fact that the message has become rare to hear. Whether it's from pulpit or for television stations, it's rarely discussed in small groups and Bible studies, and it's rarely talked about among fellow church members. Of course, we may be afraid to talk about it because we don't know the subject well enough or even at all, and we're afraid to even bring it up lest somebody catch us in our lack of knowledge. And so this throws us into a vicious circle that creates a people with a unique message that have no idea what that message is. You know, as I've gone around, I've asked, what is unique to Adventism? And I've heard many suggestions as to what it is. There are many who believe that the thing that's unique to us is the Sabbath. We're not the only ones who believe this way on the Sabbath. Right? I mean, the Jews have been keeping the Sabbath a lot longer than we have. Others will say it's a state of the dead. But we're not the only ones who believe that. Some might suggest it's tithing or our belief in the Antichrist or even vegetarianism. Now that one surprises me the most. When people come to me and say that our unique teaching is vegetarianism, I'm shocked because even Hollywood teaches that. That's not unique to us. So what is it? What is the message that is unique? It's the sanctuary. The sanctuary, it's not simply that we believe that there was a sanctuary in the Old Testament that makes us unique. It's our understanding of its role, of its significance, of what it symbolized. This is what we need to study. This is what we need to understand. In fact, we're going to spend the next few weeks looking at different aspects of the sanctuary and its festivals and see why they should be relevant to us. Now, some today don't believe that the sanctuary has any significance for end-time 21st century Christians. Because it's often believed that the sanctuary was for the Jews. It was in the Old Testament. It's not for us. I mean, it originated with the Jews, didn't it? Or did it? Actually, if we look in Scripture, we find out that even though the sanctuary wasn't built up and had all the intricate aspects of it, that the concept of the sanctuary existed long before that, because the sacrificial services started right after the fall. Genesis 4:4 tells us that they already had to begin sacrificing for their sins. Just outside of Eden, the very foundation of what would become the sanctuary took place. Why did this all happen? Because Hebrews 9:22 reminds us that without the shedding of blood, there is no forgiveness. It may seem rough, but this is the truth. We cannot have redemption, we cannot have forgiveness and be brought back into a relationship with God without the shedding of blood. So, from the very beginning, at the Garden of Eden, it started. And it started off with the sacrifice of animals. I'm so glad, praise the Lord, we don't have to rely on that anymore. So glad. But the reason why we don't rely on that anymore is not because we gave up on that and we're trying to do something else ourselves. It's because Jesus came and paid the ultimate sacrifice, which paid for all of it. It's because of his sacrifice on our behalf. Salvation has always required blood. So before the cross, even before any Hebrew existed, lambs were sacrificed for sins in a simple ceremony that looked forward to the faith to the full solution that God was providing. Even right back there with the very first sacrifice, when Adam and Eve left the garden, it was looking forward to the Messiah that would come. It was done in faith. Then after the Jews came out of Egypt, and they were filled with all those Egyptian understandings and their Egyptian religion, God had to re-educate them. And in doing so, gave them a template to reveal what his salvation looked like, what it would take, how much Jesus actually did for us. Now, this is something I think is really great. Of all the stuff that the sanctuary holds, it is all fulfilled in Jesus Christ. You know what this means? That the payment on the cross, the cost of our salvation, is not simple. It was not easy. It costs a lot. So as we go through this study and we look at these different things, we're going to see, I believe, more and more how wonderful Jesus is. Now, some may still say, but that was for the Jews. We have Jesus now, so we don't even have to worry about it. Why would even look back to something so old and out of date? Does the Hebrew sanctuary have any significance for us? Those of us living in the last days, could there be possible any reason why it should be important? Well, in the Old Testament, the sanctuary was the place where forgiveness took place, right? This was the place where the people would come to find forgiveness for their sins. And as we will study more later, inside one of its rooms, called the Most Holy Place, was a very special item. It was the Ark of the Covenant. And on top of the Ark of the Covenant was a beautiful seat. We're going to look at it in more detail. But what was that seat called? The mercy seat. What a beautiful name for it. The Jews saw it as the throne of God. How wonderful that his throne is a throne of mercy. It was an altar of God. It was the very throne of God. Now, turn with me to Hebrews chapter 9. And notice what it says. The book of Hebrews is amazing because it helps us connect really well the Old Testament with the New Testament and show us what Christ did for us. Hebrews chapter 9, verses 11 through 15. Hebrews 9, verse 11, starting in verse 11, says this. But when Christ appeared as high priest of the good things that have come, then through the greater and more perfect tabernacle, the one not made with hands, that is, not of this creation, he entered once for all into the holy places, not by the means of blood of goats and calves, but by the means of his own blood, thus securing an eternal redemption. For if the blood of goats and bulls and the sprinkling of defiled persons with the ashes of a heifer sanctified in purification of the flesh, how much more would the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without blemish to God, purify our conscience from dead works to serve the living God? Therefore he is the mediator of a new covenant, so that those who are called may receive the promised eternal inheritance, since a death is occurred that redeems them from the transgressions committed under the first covenant. Notice what's happening here. Jesus has a new role. Most people don't see him in this role. This is a very important role in the ministry of Jesus. It is as high priest. And the high priest, as high priest, he's going into where? What is the place that he's going into? The holy places of the tabernacle, it says there. Not a tabernacle that's he said, made with human hands. And what's going on in this place? He's going into the holy places, and what's taking place there? What's he doing? He's applying his blood, right? And it says there, he's even forgiving all that was happening under the first covenant. So it's revealing here that his death not only covers us in our sins, but is covering all those who looked forward in faith to him when they did sacrifices in the sanctuary, under that first covenant with God. Judgment and forgiveness occur here in the sanctuary. So where is this sanctuary that's talking about? That's not built with human hands. Is it going to be some a miraculous place that ends up there on the Temple Mount in Israel? Is it going to be like somewhere else, like, maybe in Albuquerque? The holy city? Where is it? Go down to verse 23. Verse 23 says, Thus it was necessary for the copies of the heavenly things to be purified with these rites, but the heavenly things themselves with better sacrifices than with these. For Christ has entered into the holy places, not into holy places made with hands, which are copies of the true things, but into heaven itself, now to appear in the presence of God on our behalf. So when it talks about Jesus entering the holy places, it was not some place that's going to be here on earth, because he says the earthly sanctuary, the earthly temple was just a copy. It was just a shadow. It was just a symbol of something greater that was already in heaven. So when Jesus enters into these holy places, he's entering into holy places that are in heaven. This means, friends, that there is a sanctuary in heaven. I think that's pretty significant. Of course, we also have what Daniel says. In Daniel chapter 7, verse 9. Daniel 7, verse 9. And listen to the picture that's being described here in verses 9 and 10. This is what Daniel sees. In verse 9 he says, And I looked, thrones were placed, and the Ancient of Days took his seat. His clothing was white as snow, the hair of his head like pure wool. His throne was fiery flames, its wheels were burning fire. Now, isn't that cool? Just real quick, isn't that cool? God's throne has wheels and flames. I'm not sure if it was a lowrider, but it kind of sounds like one. What's beautiful about that is that God's throne moves. That's how he can have his throne here on earth, too. Then it says in verse 10, A stream of fire issued and came out from before him, and thousands of thousands served him. 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The court sat in judgment, and the books were opened. What we see here, a description of the beginning of judgment. Revelation says his judgment has come. This is a very important thing for us. an end-time judgment that takes place at God's throne. So Revelation's message for us in these last days is that God's judgment has come. It's happening right now. And where is the location of that judgment going to take place? In heaven at his throne, right? Books of Hebrews and Daniel reveal Christ participating in the judgment inside a heavenly sanctuary by God's throne as our mediator. Don't you think that's significant? It's very important for us to understand. This is one of the things I love about it too, about the judgment. The Bible says that Jesus has been appointed our judge. Now, they may not seem significant to you, but he's also our defense. When you have the judge as your defense, that's a good situation. I mean, honestly, when you think about it, it's hard to lose that case. The only time that we could lose that if we decide to get rid of our counsel, our defense, and try to defend ourselves. If we want to go up there and try to prove that our righteousness is good enough, we lose the case. The pictures I used to have of the throne room was God and the throne, just waiting with the gavel, ready to pronounce condemnation. And Jesus there going, wait, Father, wait, no, he's good, really, he's good. I've always pictured that. And Satan just sitting in the background, sneering on, this is going my way. But the picture I get from the Bible about the judgment is Jesus sitting on the throne, and Satan in between trying to accuse me. And Jesus says, but it says right here, he's accepted my salvation. Case dismissed. Praise the Lord. I mean, this is what's so beautiful about it. This is why it's important that we understand what's happening. And how can we truly understand Christ's work in the sanctuary from which the earthly sanctuary was copied if we do not understand the earthly sanctuary itself? This is the significance. This is why we go into it and studied. Because it helps us to understand Christ's complete redemptive work in our lives. It's an object lesson of the whole plan of salvation. It lays it out for us. It'll take us to the cross, comfort us through judgment, and point us to his coming when he's going to bring us home. In fact, the better we understand the sanctuary, the better we're going to understand God's plan of salvation. And the clearer we see his plan, the deeper we'll fall in love with him. I believe this because we're going to love not only what he's done for us, but what he's doing for us right now and what he's going to be doing for us soon. God has a plan to save us. And in the sanctuary, it spells it out for us so we can see what it really is and how much he loves us. Thank the Lord for this object lesson. Let's pray. Father in heaven, we look forward to studying more about this. And I pray, Father, that you will guide us through the next few weeks as we open up your word to review this. That as we look into this subject, this very important subject of the sanctuary, we can see the beauty of the plan of salvation. And Father, we ask that you will help us as we look into this to be passionate about telling others about it as well. Especially the good news about the judgment. It may not seem good, but if we've accepted Jesus' salvation on our behalf, his sacrifice on our behalf, if we've accepted his payment on our sins, we have nothing to fear for the judgment. So Father, fill us with this passion. Fill us with the seriousness and all that we need during this time. And help us closer to you, we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.